Hello, this is Inside the Press Box with Sunil Sunder Raj for the Everyday Fan Sports. Today, I'm happy to be speaking with Kyleigh Welsh, a recent graduate of Clearwater High School in Clearwater, Florida, and the NJIT women's basketball commit. Kyleigh, once again, thank you so much for the opportunity. Again, congrats on your success at Clearwater High School, and can't wait until you take that court at the WEC, it said there at NJIT in Newark, New Jersey in the fall.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, Kyleigh, let's talk about, say your time at Clearwater High School. I know your senior year didn't go the way according to schedule, sustaining a torn ACL early in the season. But as you know, your dad alluded to, you're training hard, you're undergoing physical therapy and training. So first and foremost, just wanted to ask you, just how everything is going with you in terms of the recovery, process.
Well, in the beginning, it started slow. I mean, as it does for everybody that tears the ACL. It's just a lot of little steps that it takes to get where you want to be eventually. But I've been starting to move around a lot more recently, like even starting to shoot around and get more active, running, stuff like that. A lot more mobile.
I mean, I know both mentally, physically, it is just excruciating, especially, when, you want to, cap off your career on a high note. I just had to ask you, maybe the moment it happened and then just like, afterwards, just, that I'm sure for athletes, especially younger athletes, it is, it's just so difficult. Just talk about that process.
Yeah, well, when it first happened, like when I first got hurt, I went up and I came down and I knew immediately that something was wrong because I heard a sound. I felt something that you don't normally feel. And that obviously put me in a space where I was just freaking out constantly until the doctor actually told me, like officially, that it had happened, that I tore my ACL. And then, that always takes a toll on somebody, especially someone that is going to college for basketball. But luckily I had just signed and I knew they were all very supportive when I told them what had happened. And it's gotten a lot better. It's been a long process, but it's definitely at the peak or at the end of where I need to be.
It's great. Okay, before we came on there, we're talking about your physical trainer, Serge, of Bay Area Sports Performance and Fitness in Clearwater, Florida. So I want to ask you just in terms of, working with Serge.
I've been with him for 2.5 years, going on 3. When I first came to him, I was just fragile and I didn't even know if I wanted to play college basketball or go past high school. I was just going to him to get in shape and possibly get better at basketball for my high school team. And I came out of that. What I got out of that was just a lot more confidence while playing the game. And just personally, I think I've gotten a lot better, specifically on the offensive side of the game. And he's just improved my game a lot, which has led me where I am now.
That's terrific. Hey, despite that, voted still outstanding female athlete for this senior class 2022, excuse me. That's got to feel good. That's got to, in terms of being, rewarded again for all your hard work, on and off the court.
Yeah, I felt good when they called my name. I was kind of surprised just because I hadn't played that season, but I like how they took into consideration like my hard work that I put in for the 3 years prior to me getting hurt too. So that felt good.
Yeah, coming off a very successful junior year, top 10 shot blocker in the state of Florida, finished the season with 130 blocks. The team made it to the Final Four in Lakeland, Florida. So just talk about, your junior year. I said, being able to, again, I said in terms of, the league competition, being able to rise, to the challenge and, again, seeing, those numbers. It's just, it's amazing. Just talk about that, Kyleigh.
Okay, so when I first started getting recognition, it was a little overwhelming at first because I didn't really know how to take it all in. Because before I wasn't really someone that stood out that much. But once I started to get my numbers up and become more confident while I was playing, it felt really good. And then it just led to more of it because I was so comfortable doing it at that point. And as far as my team goes, my high school team, my junior year, it felt great because we were all just clicking so easily while we were playing, especially going later into the season. We went to states. It was the furthest that our school has gone, like Clearwater High School girls basketball has gone in years, I think a decade. It's been a while, but so we were very happy to accomplish that. And once we got there, what happens? We lost, but still getting there, the journey getting there was just awesome.
you alluded to before about your presence on the defensive end, and it, recognizes that I think it's the Base News 9 Athlete of the Week. I mean, that another accolade that had to feel good. I said I know it's about the team, but just that personal accomplishment that had to really. I mean, when you look back, I mean that's something you definitely cherish, Kyleigh.
Yeah, I'm always going to remember that, them taking the time to like pick me out of a select amount of people and interview me for something like that. But yeah, that season really brought a lot on the table, a lot of offers, a lot of opportunities. That whole year really opened a lot for me, just like the interview did.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, your highest scoring output was 22 points. So take me through that game. Being able to do that on the court, and just again, walk me through that just from start to finish, Kyleigh.
So that game, it was preseason and it was in a tournament the beginning of my senior year. So we had just gotten done with like our fall league and we started practicing, and then we went into this. I think this was our second game of preseason.
Okay.
And I started the game off really strong for me personally. I had a lot of energy. I was all over the place. I was getting touches. I was really confident in that game. I don't know what about it. I just woke up and I guess I was just in the mood, and I was hyper. I was just really energetic, and it got me up and down the court quickly. Yeah. Just led to more buckets, and then I made a couple shots too, and it was really good.
Yeah, nothing better than getting into that flow of the game, having that rhythm. Talk to me about like just preparing for a game, just in terms of mentally, physically, just what it takes for you, to take that court, and then again, to see how you're able to impact the game on both ends of the floor.
So for me, physically, I just try to stay hydrated and make sure I stretch and do everything I need to do. I need to get a good warm up in before I start playing, because if I go in cold, I know it's going to start out slow. Yeah. So that's a really big thing for me physically. And then mentally, I just need to get in the mindset of usually like how we go over how the team we're about to play is. I just need to remember a lot of specific facts about certain players on the team we're about to play, and that really helps when it comes to playing specific teams.
That's great. Just that, we know with sports, it's 24/7, 365. I mean, I don't think, you can take a day off. If you want to be the best of the best, you have to put the time in, said on and off the court. I'm wondering, like, for you, in terms of when the season, I said here during high school, your high school years at Clearwater High School, what you were able to, especially in the summertime, in terms of strength and conditioning, and then we talk about nutrition, rest and recovery. I mean, there's so many, again, components that go into it. I'm just wondering for you personally, Kyleigh, what you were able to incorporate, during, the off season as well.
So during the off season, I play AAU, is the travel basketball team. Yeah. And on top of that, when we're not practicing during the week, because we only practice during the weekends, I would go to Surge, my personal trainer, and train. Okay. So that would help me individually. And then we would do team workouts on the weekends. And then, of course, my own stuff whenever I possibly could. And nutrition wise, I mean, eating has never really been an issue for me. But if I have one specific thing that I know I need to focus on, then I'll take that more into consideration. And of course, staying hydrated all the time. But just staying in shape is a really big thing, because once you're out of shape, it takes so much longer to get back into it. That was also another thing that happened when I got hurt. I knew that was going to have to happen all over again. So that's a really big thing for me too.
Yeah, I think we talked about mobility, being flexible, in terms of stretching. I mean, I think people forget, how essential that is, if you're not, loose and, it said, it's, you definitely, injuries can pop up. Hey, you were a champion, said in high school. I think that team was two-time district champion, 3-time Pinellas County champion. Well, I mean, when you look, I mean, that just, again, to rack up those, those achievements. I mean, to be able to hoist a trophy, and I'm sure that's something that you're looking forward to, of course, playing for NJIT in the fall, and then as the years go on. But just talk about how rewarding that was, just being able to, be a champion in high school.
Yeah, so our team has always been really good. Clearwater High School kind of has a name for itself when it comes to girls and boys basketball, especially girls though. And going into my freshman season, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't take basketball seriously at that point. So I was just there to be there and play basketball. And then once I realized what was capable of all of us, it clicked, and it kind of made me want to be more a part of it. So I started taking it more seriously. Yeah. And then once I did, going into my sophomore year, I was still a little small, not that confident, but still trying to do the best I could. And then we still were getting numbers up in championships, especially in our county. Then when it came to my junior year, I was playing more of a part, and I was more of a reason why it was happening, which felt really good. And then, as you know, my senior year, we still did all those things, still won districts and all that.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just wondering, from where you started out as a freshman, here now coming full circle as a senior, being able to, maybe pass down that knowledge, that expertise to the underclassmen. I just wanted to get your perspective, because I'm sure you had a lot, even with, being out, for the majority of the season, that you were able to do that, especially, on the bench, just offering that, said little tidbits and nuggets, said to them. I just had to ask you about that, Kyleigh.
So yeah, going from playing and to watching every game is so different. And at first it's kind of painful, like watching all the things, because when you're not playing, you can see everything that's happening and everything that's not being done and when it needs to be done, because when you're in the game, all you're focusing on is what you're doing or what's in front of you or what you're about to do, and not everyone else. So being off the court really helped me a lot, because I got to see the game from a different perspective and everybody else's perspective, like the guards in the posts and then switching and everything like that. Every little tiny thing was so much better and so much easier to see when you're not playing. And it really gave me something like more knowledge to also help my teammates, but myself too.
Yeah. In every minute detail, it adds up. And then, before, especially during the course of 4 quarters there. I wanted to go back to the AAU team, Team Candice Dupree, a legend in the WNBA. And you got to meet Candice Dupree. I mean, just the numbers, that in terms of points, rebounds, said 6th pick by the Chicago Sky in the WNBA draft. Just talk about, just having that honor and privilege being able to play for her, her team, and then actually getting to meet Candice Dupree.
So yeah, Thunder was also, that's the name of the whole program. But Team Candice Dupree, it was always been a part of my journey too. They were my first ever real travel team, and playing for them was always great. The coaches are great, the people are great, and the tournaments we were put in always put us out there to be recruited and all that stuff like that. And also they taught me a lot of discipline when it came to basketball, and that was physically and mentally too, especially with them. They were big on that. And what we had to do to get where we wanted to be, specifically whether it was a college or not. So, and then meeting her, of course, I was nervous a little, but I saw her at a tournament I was at when I was watching my friends play, and she was just sitting there next to the director of Thunder, and I went to take a picture with her, and it was fun. It was funny.
That's great. I mean, just some of the numbers are just astounding. I mean, 2,812 2-point field goals, 7-time WNBA All-Star, average double figures in her first 14 seasons, and then played 32 or more games in 13 or 15 seasons. I wrote down a couple words: durability, work ethic, determination, grind. Is said a legend. It's like those are just great, are great characteristics, and well deserved, and just what she was able to do. Okay, I know that I believe you also played volleyball. Is that correct? So I'm wondering how that, being a multi-sport athlete, I'm sure it impacts, in terms of basketball as well. And you have the size as well at 6'2". I'm just talk about that, being able to play another sport.
So their seasons were really far apart, so it kind of made it easy, but that kind of goes alongside the thing of me not taking basketball so seriously. So I wasn't around, it wasn't a year-round thing, basketball for me. So I did volleyball because the coach saw that I was tall and she wanted me to play. And it was fun while I was doing it, but I was not taking it seriously. I was just doing it for fun, but it was still fun to participate. And on top of that, it got me a little bit prepared for what I needed to be for basketball season, which came after that. So that was always something good. But as far as balancing them went, it wasn't really that hard because they were so separated in the year.
That's true. Okay, we all know, Kyleigh, it's just not about being an athlete, it's also being a student athlete. So I wanted to ask you about that as well, being able to, when we talk about time management, organization, how you have been able to, again, balance it out and just make it work here, you know, at 4 years at Clearwater High School.
So a big thing for me is being organized and writing out everything I need to do in a specific amount of time, because if I don't, I'm not going to know, and then I'm going to miss the deadline, and then I'm going to have to catch up really fast last minute. And that's always just been something that I struggled with. So to avoid that, I get on my work and I lay out what I need to do and when, and then try to mush that in with when I have practice and when I have individual workouts. And then I lay it all out so that's able to be done in one day or whenever it needs to be done, so that I get everything done when it's supposed to be done and not last minute where I have to rush or anything.
Yeah, and definitely those yielded the results. I think, you know, or 4.0 GPA, you know, said high honors. I mean, just talk about, I mean, again, just putting in that time, you know, it said, you know, those long hours and, you know, again, seeing those results. I mean, it just again, you know, probably a great feeling, you know, just knowing how you were able to balance it out, you know, effectively there, Kyleigh.
Yeah, my goal throughout high school was to end with a 4.0 or higher. That was just what I wanted to accomplish, because I felt like then I could really say that I really did try my best, and I did. So having that feeling, I finished with a 4.1, which felt really good on top of everything that I was doing on top of school, which was a lot. And being in a program too at my school, which added a little bit more work than other people, was also a lot I had on my plate. But again, the organization is really what saved me from crumbling under all that pressure.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, I just a couple more in the basketball before we shift, you know, to a couple other topics in terms of that jersey that you put on for that 4 years. What did it represent to, you know, you, especially at Clearwater High School, to wear that basketball jersey, you know, for all 4 years?
I mean, it feels good, especially in our county. Clearwater has always been a really big deal. So to have the honor to wear that home game, away game, whatever jersey we had on, as long as it had Clearwater on the front, everyone knew, like, oh, like everyone from Pinellas County knew who we were and that we were good. And it always feels great now walking into a game confident and just knowing that, like, that we're dominant and that it's going to take a lot to, like, beat us. It was just a great feeling going into games feeling that way.
Hey, let's talk about the support from fellow students, Clearwater High School administration, athletic department. So all know it takes a village, it takes a structure, you know, to have a successful and winning program. Just talk about what they meant to you over these past 4 years.
They've meant a good amount. They've always been to our games, even our really far ones, the travel games that they didn't even need to attend. They always made the time, at least one of them, to travel over to watch us play in person. And I feel like we never really disappointed them. We were always bringing out W's, and it was always making them feel good. And the recognition was nice too.
Don't want to forget about your coaching staff and your team as well. What did they mean to you as well? Just these past 4 years, also, Kyleigh.
So my sophomore through senior year, I had the same coach, and he's always been great and encouraging and meant a lot to all of us. And my teammates, they're all my best friends. We are all really close, which made us play a lot better together because our chemistry was so well. We all knew each other, knew how each other played, and our strengths, our weaknesses. And so whenever our coach could put any 5 of us in, and we would know what to do with who was on the court. It was great.
It was not easy these past couple of years with the COVID-19 pandemic. Affected a lot of, you know, games, you know, cancellations, and then, you know, all the safety procedures. I'm wondering how you were able to rise above that and just being able to, you know, handle that. That it's not easy, you know, for high school athletes, you know, to endure this, you know, in terms of, I mean, there was remote learning, you know, and then, you know, even as I, you know, mentioned, you know, the practices and games. Just talk about that.
Yeah, so COVID took a big toll, I feel like, on everybody, not just me. The games, it's just, you never really knew. You never knew if anything was permanent. We would look at our schedule and half of them could be canceled the day before they happened, because if someone gets COVID, you can't play that team. So
Mhm.
it was just really, it makes you really paranoid thinking about it going into it, and even playing teams that didn't cancel. You're just constantly thinking about if you're going to catch it or if someone else had it. And then when
Mhm.
someone did, you couldn't play. It was just really, it was a lot to think about, because if your team is quarantined, you're quarantined for such a long time, which could potentially affect your record and then
Yeah.
that season of playing. So it was just a lot to think of. And then as far as the online learning went, at first it was really confusing, but then I got the hang of it my junior year, because I was online my whole entire junior year of high
Okay.
school. So it was just, it's different from walking around, seeing your friends every day at school, to waking up and then just opening your computer in bed
Yeah.
and then doing your
Yeah.
schoolwork that way. It was a lot mentally, but I got through it.
That's great. Okay. I know support from family is big, especially your parents. And
Mhm.
it said both U.S. Air Force veterans, and your mom, especially it said a certified personal trainer, nutrition
Mhm.
specialist, strength and conditioning specialist, bodybuilding specialist, owner of a personal training business, a figure competitor in bodybuilding. Your dad is the owner, it said, Assume Tech LLC, and Rookie Media. Just talk about, and also your sister Kristen. Just talk about having that kind of support here these 4 years at Clearwater High School.
So it always has helped that my mom was just a professional in every field that possibly needed to be had to become a better athlete. Food wise, physical,
Yeah.
mental, everything. She was always there for me. But she's always been my mom first, which has
Mhm.
always helped. But whenever I knew I needed to gain weight and muscle, because I was really skinny, or
Mhm.
if I needed to, like, starting to eat right to get conditioned for the season coming up, I always knew I could go to her for that. And then my dad, he wasn't always the Rookie Media. He started recording my game so that I could be posting it on Twitter so that I could get recruited. And then he turned
Yeah.
it into a business. And him doing that for me really meant a lot, because it took a lot of time out of him, but he was willing to do it for me. And then my sister Kirsten,
Yeah.
she is always at the game. She's usually always the loudest ones at the games, so that always means a lot to me too.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Kirsten, for
No,
the
you're good.
typo there. Yeah, no, it's great what your dad does. Definitely with the sports videography service, and that's great. And that's another thing, is that social media. I mean, it's
Right.
just remarkable how everybody's been able to tap into it, utilize it, especially for the athletes in terms of highlight videos, then practices and games. I'm sure it's really been a difference maker for you. Just talk about that, Kyleigh.
Yeah, so that was a completely different thing that I had to learn about, like, especially Twitter. Twitter for me was a huge thing when it came to recruitment, and that I didn't even know about it until I started playing travel basketball, and I downloaded it, and everyone was posting everything they possibly could on there. So I knew I needed to start doing something on social media to get myself out there to get recruited and stuff like that. So I did. So that's where my dad came in, and all the video that he took, he would edit it, make me highlights so I could post on Twitter, send it to coaches and get all that down. And not even just Twitter, but mostly just Twitter, but on YouTube too, and all that stuff. So I was just trying to get myself out there like everybody else was. And I didn't realize how big of a thing social media was to sports until I had started taking it seriously. And it really is.
That's wonderful. You need some downtime. I know your hobbies are definitely basketball, the beach, and hanging out with friends. But I think even more impressive, the volunteering aspect at concessions at local baseball stadium to raise money for the women's basketball team. Just talk about that. I mean, that's really, you just talk about paying it forward. Making a difference in the community, and just again, tremendous. Just talk about that, Kyleigh.
So yeah, the baseball stadium where I'm at in Clearwater is a really big thing. There's always people there, so they always need help. And we saw it as an opportunity to help raise money for our team, because we never really had enough, like, naturally. So we had to always earn it. And so our team was always willing to try and help and get whatever we needed for the season. So we would always go to the games and then go to the concession stands and hand out food, make food, hand out drinks, and anything needed. Worked the front and did the cashier and all that kinds of stuff to try and raise as much money as we possibly could.
Very nice. That's just really good to see. Okay, let's talk NJIT women's basketball. I had to ask you, what made it the perfect fit, in terms of, and then first time visiting the campus, the WEC, the Wellness and Events Center. Just wanted to dive into and ask you about that as well, Kyleigh.
So a big thing for me, especially someone coming all the way from Florida to New Jersey or anywhere, wherever I was going to go, I needed like the people to be good. I needed to like the people who I was going to be around every single day, so far away from home. That was like number one for me, because if I wasn't comfortable, I didn't want to be there, right?
Yeah.
So the coaching staff, they made me feel comfortable almost immediately. They're also didn't even feel like I was talking to people of such like, not higher power, but they are, but you know what I'm talking about, like coaches, like someone so serious. They made it seem like I was talking to a couple of friends, and it was so easy to talk to them and communicate with all of them because they were all so cool about everything. And the team was also really nice. They're all really sweet and welcomed me and made me feel not as nervous, even though I was so nervous when I first met them. But yeah, I felt really comfortable where I was at. And as far as the campus goes and the WEC, and it's just, when you walk in, it's huge, it's big, it just screams basketball, like the whole place, even outside of the WEC. That's all I could feel. I don't know if that's just me as a basketball player, because I felt that, but it just felt like a really big community and everyone's together, and it's really nice. And it's really clean too.
Yeah, no, it's a magnificent facility, playing under the bright lights there. Yeah, you're right. It's once you're on that gym floor, and you just look up to the ceiling and then elsewhere around you, the seats itself, it's definitely one of the best facilities I think here in probably the state of New Jersey, I would say, and you probably could say across the country as well. Let's talk about this team. I said won 15 games last year, 9, in the America East and during the regular season, reached the semifinals of the America East tournament, won their first postseason tournament game since the 2012-2013 season, second highest total amount of wins in program history. And the bulk of this roster returns, this year. I wanted to ask you, just in terms of fitting it, I mean, this is really, I would say, an ideal fit for you. Just seeing, that you got a lot of experience coming back, and then you add, some youth in, and the same blueprint worked well. Said of course last season also for the team, Kyleigh.
Yeah, so their record is, I mean, they have just been improving constantly ever since I started watching them, which is awesome and always great to watch. And it's crazy to think that I'm going to go from watching it to playing with them. But yeah, I really think it'll take a minute, but I really think I'm going to click with them easily as far as playing goes. And I think I'll fit in well with everybody. And almost everybody's returning, and I've met all of them except for one of the newcomers coming in. But I really think that we're all going to be working well together when it comes to us playing.
Yeah, and as you said, one of the best coaching staffs. I mean, led by head coach Mike Lane, assistant coaches, Sarah Mitchell, Aaron Gretsch, Latonia Watson, and then you jump. I said the athletic department, Lenny Kaplan, the president, Dr. Joel Bloom. I mean, just a great staff in place. Bobby Fitz, strength and conditioning. Anisha Sanchez, director of basketball operations. You talk about. I keep on harping on it, but that structure is so vital. If you don't have that in place, and you've seen again now here the results really paying off now, and it's just really great to see. Hey, I have here one more question before you get the final word here. And I think you're really in a perfect spot in terms of your advice, your message for the younger kids, the athletes out there, whether they're dealing with an injury, but just, in terms of playing sports and that, want to, rise to the level that you've been able to. What would you say to them? These are challenging times. We talked about, with COVID, with social media, there's so many outside influences, but just in terms of staying on that straightforward, pathway.
So I would just say focus on yourself and don't compare to anybody, because that was a really big issue for me. And once I stopped doing that, all I did was improve, because if you keep comparing yourself to other people, you're going to put yourself down, be less confident, and then not play as well. And so you really need to just focus on you, and you're only against yourself, and that will just help you improve a lot better and a lot more efficiently too. And as far as anyone being hurt, it sucks at first. It really does, watching everybody continue their journey and you're just set like paused because you injured yourself so badly, but it does get better. Not quickly, but it does. And when it does, you feel so much better and you'll come back stronger, and then you'll be right back where you were and then going up from there. So
the one question popped up into my head is that growing up, what sports did you play? I mean, sure, basketball, but were there any other sports? And when you really knew, look, basketball is something that I can pursue and is my passion, that, you know, you would be good at it.
So growing up, I played a few different sports. I did gymnastics, soccer, and then I did basketball. So I did soccer for a really long time, but then I gave that up once my mom put me in basketball. She like had to beg me to start it. And so once I did really like it. And I started to like it a lot was in middle school. Okay. So when I was in middle school and I started to see how people were playing and how fun it was to be on the team. And so I just stuck with it ever since 6th grade. And when I started playing, and then I took it more seriously when it came after 9th grade.
That's great. Okay, Kyleigh, you get the final word and message here of family, friends, classmates, teammates, Clearwater High School, the administration, athletic department, then as well as your new message to NJIT, the NJIT women's basketball teammates, coaching staff, classmates, and the fan base out there, both, you know, here in New Jersey and nationally. The floor is yours, Kyleigh. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I thought I would just give you, you know, this opportunity. I'm sure there are people that definitely you want to thank, you know, in terms of, you know, definitely when it comes to family, you know, friends, classmates, and teammates.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone and anyone who's ever supported me along the way, even from the very beginning, and anyone who's going to support me along my next journey in college. Just want to thank you in advance, and I'm excited to get started with you guys.
Sounds good. Hey, Kyleigh, just again, an incredible honor and privilege being able to interview you. Congrats again on your success at Clearwater High School, and can't wait to not only, you know, see you play, you know, for the NJIT women's basketball team, but also meet you in person. And again, wishing you all the best with your recovery as well here from a torn ACL.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.